Let's implement the earning features. Back to Visual Studio Code, and that is on the backend. We are going to create a function to perform that logic as we have already explained. So in here, the function or the file is going to be calculate earnings. And the function goes like this. Calculate earnings is equal to a function. And this function, we are going to use cron object to run this function. When we get there, you better understand this. And first, we will need the post model. Likewise, the earnings model. So let me resave these guys. Likewise, the earnings. So let's get on this file and then require the post model. Supposed to be post instead, but not the users. This one. And let's bring in the post. Likewise, the earnings. All right. So let's look at the steps. Step number 1 is that we have to get the current date. And then after that, we are going to find all the posts. And here we are going to loop through the post. Inside the loop, we are going to calculate the new count viewers since the last calculation. And then after that, we are going to calculate the earnings based on the number of new unique views. And then from there, we are going to update this month earnings and total earnings. And then lastly, we are going to create the earnings record. And then next step is that we are going to update the last calculated views count and next earning date. And then we have to save the record and then send the response. For the response, we are just going to log. Let's go ahead and then run by exporting it as export, which is equal to calculated earnings. So we are going to call this one on the server file for the meantime. As we move on, we are going to use the cron object. So here, let's say calculate the earnings. And then let me call it as a function. And I will say calculate earnings. All right. So now let me close these guys. And then, sorry, it's supposed to be this one instead. Close this and then the earnings. So if you log something like earnings calculated, now save it and let's check the terminal, and we have earnings calculated. So it means that we are running the function. So let's begin with the first step, and that is get the current date as const current date is equal to new date.now. And here we are going to find all the posts. So here as const post is equal to await post.find. And if we log, let's mark the function as an async, which is this. All right. And if we log the post, let's check in the terminal. And new date is not a function, supposed to be, oh, no, now here as that. All right. As you can see, we have all the posts. So next step is that we are going to loop through all the posts by using for of loop. So here I will say that for, and then inside bring in const and then post of post and then my curly braces. This one means that we want to loop through all the posts here, and the post here is this array. and this post represent the individual post. So if you log the post in the loop, let's see, save it and let's check, and we have the individual post. This is where we are going to implement the logics. Let's begin with this, and that is count new unique viewers since the last calculation. So here, let me bring it inside as that, and it goes like this: const new views count is equal to post. On that we have the viewers as you saw, and then on that, then minus post dot the last calculated views count. So if you log the new views count, let's see, and we have 0. Let me try again, and we have 0 here. Let me remove this log, and first of all we have to 0 0. So now let's continue with the next step, and that is the calculate earnings based on the number of new views. So let's bring it inside here, and it goes like this: const the earnings amount. We have to determine how much we are going to pay per view. Either we are going to pay $1 for 100 views or $1 for 10 views. The choice is up to you. So here is going to be as this. I'm going to specify the rate up here, which is this, and I will say fixed rate, or let me say rate. And here is going to be rate per view. And we're going to use $0.01, meaning that per view you're going to have this amount. Like I said, you can determine either 10 views for $1 or whatever that you want. And this is just an example, so you can modify this one. Now we know the rate per view. So over here, we are going to calculate the earnings, which is equal to the new views count, then multiply by rate per view. So let's log the earnings for the post at the moment, which is this earnings amount, and we have this $0.02 and $00. Awesome, we are on track. Next step is we are going to update this month earnings and total earnings. Remember, we have all these properties on the post as I have showed you. All right, so here let's continue to update. So here, as on the post, we have the this month earnings, which is equal to the plus and then equal to the earnings amount. Then the total earnings is going to be post dot total earnings, which is equal to plus equal to the earnings amount. Awesome. And let's create the record for the earnings. So here, let's await the earnings model dot create, and here we will need the author of the earning as user, and the user can be found on the post dot author. That's what we specified. And then the actual post can be found on the post dot underscore ID, and then the amount is equal to the earnings amount, and then comma calculated on as the current date. The next step is that we are going to update the last calculated views count and next earning date. So let's bring it in the loop as that, and here we have it as post dot last calculated count, which is equal to the post dot viewers dot length, and then post dot the next earning date is equal to new date. Remember, it's going to be at the end of every month. So here you're going to add 1 month more to the current date. So here as this, date, and inside we're going to pass in the current date dot get full year, and then as a function call and comma here, current date is going to be dot get month. Then we're going to add +1 at the end. And last step is that we have to save the post because we have modified it as await post dot save instead, and that is it. So let's log the post here to see the update as post, or the post here. Now I have saved it, and let's check the terminal here, and we have the, let's check the earnings. This one got 0.02, and then the count was 2. That is why we got 0.01 multiplied by 2 is going to be this. And for the next one, the person got 0 amount because there is no views on that. Awesome. So anytime you save the file, it's going to create the record. Let's check in the DB, and let's connect to the post, not the earning instead. As you can see, we have 6 earnings because we are just saving the files as that. That is why it is creating like that. As you can see, we have this user with this amount, and then likewise these guys. So let's check for the first one, and this one got 0.02. So we can base on this one to rank the authors or the creators. Now the logic is fine. What has left is that we have to avoid calling the function manually to calculate the earnings, but instead we are going to use what is called cron job to schedule this at the end of every month. Let's get into it in the next video.